doing okay? Hanging in? Getting that work done? Getting that bread? You know how we do. Listen, I wanted to talk with you guys, and I know we've talked about this before, but I thought it would be kind of a good reminder because we're getting close to the deadline of the first newsletter, which is tomorrow. And I think that while we're at this point, we should be kind of finishing up the newsletter, and almost it's time for us to go back and start assessing our writing, and looking. Did we get the message across that we wanted to? Do we make any grammatical errors? Do we make any sort of mistakes as far as flow and direction goes? So I want to think with you guys real quick, talk with you, and cause us to think about what are we looking for when we're looking over our work after we've already done the draft. We've probably put some time into it, but what are we looking for? I'll tell you what I would be looking for. The number one thing, especially with an assignment like this, is you want to make sure that it's free of any like glaring, blatantly or obvious grammatical errors, right? And of course spelling errors too. But we've talked about this week comma usage. That's and commas and capitalization to me are just like it sticks out like a sore like a sore thumb. You know what I mean? When you're looking over, I immediately see, oh, there should have been a comma there. That should have been capitalized. That should have been italicized. And that stuff is so avoidable. You know what I mean? It's like you run into issues with writing where there's things that are like difficult to avoid, whether that's like trying to say something in a very condensed and to the point way. That can be tough, but what's not tough is using commas and capitalizing. So when you're reading over this, you should definitely be reading over your writing multiple times as you're working on it. It's not a one and done situation. That's not how we get good writing. You get good writing by doing your rough draft and then looking over and say, are there any glaring grammatical errors that I've made? Another one that just wrecks the flow of writing is run-on sentences. And I think that, when people make a run-on sentence, we need to think, well, what are they actually doing? Well, I think it's that you've lost direction in the sentence. You know what I mean? If you feel like a paragraph is rambling, what's at the core of that? It's lost direction, right? Your direction needs to be clear and, a part of every single word that you write in this thing. So if you're looking at a paragraph, does the paragraph have do we know where the paragraph's going to go from the beginning? And then at the end of it, did we get there in the fastest, most effective way possible? That's good writing, right? The same thing with sentences. Do we know what the sentence is trying to accomplish? If so, it should be evident at the end. You know what I mean? Like an unclear sentence would be you see a lot of unclear run-on sentences because I think that the student or writer didn't know really what they were trying to do with the sentence. You have to have an idea of what are you trying to accomplish in the article, the essay, the speech, whatever. And then how does every single sentence, every single word help actualize, make happen that goal? So you got to have a direction, and you want to make sure as you're reading over your essays, your articles, your newsletters, you want to make sure like, did I do it? Did I actualize my goal? And did I do it in the most effective way possible? To me, an effective actualization of a thesis or point or goal in writing is did I do it basically with I don't want to say the bare minimum, but did I get there as fast and effectively as I can? Because we don't want to read nonsense writing, you know what I mean? If something's not related to your point or isn't helping you make your point, don't use it. That's rubbish. You don't want that at all in your writing. You want to make sure that your writing gets to the goal as fast as it possibly can without rushing or leaving things out. So again, please make sure that you spend some time today and tomorrow before we grade these newsletters reading through them, reading aloud, even if it's just to yourself. Read aloud your newsletter. Did this get to the point? Does this have a point? Right? Does this paragraph have a point? And if so, did it make the point? And if not, if it didn't have a point, or if you didn't make the point, what could I do to make this have a point and actually get to the point? I'll be making some comments on your newsletters, but think about that. Glaring errors are capitalization, punctuation. The other thing I see is run-on sentences, and to me, run-on sentences mean that the author did not have a clear intention of where the paragraph was going and where the sentence was going. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work, and I'll talk with you soon.